Opening. Today I want to dive into something big, not just the usual debates about work, the meaning of life, or even nihilism. In fact, I believe these discussions are almost meaningless when you look at the bigger picture. We're caught up in these cycles of asking ourselves why we work, why we strive, and whether any of it really matters. But I'd argue we're missing the point. Because here's the thing, humanity at this moment in history is uniquely positioned, in a way it's never been before. We're like one massive biomass of human potential, sitting on a mountain of resources. Resources that, yes, we're consuming at an unsustainable rate, but maybe, just maybe that's okay if we understand why we're here, why this exact point in time matters. Purpose of humanity as biomass. When I look around, I don't see humanity just as a bunch of individuals struggling to find purpose in the traditional sense. Instead, I see us as a collective, as a biomass that has the potential to generate something unprecedented. At this scale, with this number of people, all of us connected through technology, we can pool ideas, generate insights and make discoveries that could reshape the universe as we know it. Think about it. This is the largest number of humans, the most concentrated amount of thought power that's ever existed on Earth. Imagine if we could channel all of this not into personal gain, not into consumerism or trivial pursuits, but into solving one of the deepest challenges science and philosophy have ever faced. How do we, as life, exist within the framework of the second law of thermodynamics? The challenge of the second law of thermodynamics. Now, if you're familiar with the second law of thermodynamics, you know it paints a bleak picture for life. To put it simply, this law tells us that the universe is moving towards disorder, towards entropy, toward a state where energy is so evenly distributed that nothing new can happen. No more heat, no more stars, no more life. At that point, all potential for work, for life, for experience ceases. That's the so-called heat death of the universe. But here's the kicker. If this law holds true, then life as we know it is on a countdown. It's almost like our presence here, our moment in the universe, is just a temporary spike in order within a much larger trend towards chaos. In other words, we're fighting a losing battle against entropy. But what if we could change that? What if all the resources, all the time and all the energy we're pouring into human civilization could be redirected towards understanding how to rewrite or outsmart these fundamental laws? It sounds like science fiction, but think about the stakes. Either we prove the law wrong, or we find some loophole, or we figure out how to transcend the universe as it's defined by these rules. If we could do that, wouldn't it be the most scientifically profound thing we could ever achieve? Why we need a unified purpose. So here's what I'm getting at. Without purpose, without a shared direction that's bigger than any individual, we tend to fall into empty pursuits. Consumerism, hyper-individualism, endless scrolling, working ourselves into exhaustion without ever asking for what. And it's easy to feel the sense of nihilism creeping in, where we start to think none of it matters because in the end, entropy is going to win anyway. But if we could shift our mindsets, if we could create a unifying idea for humanity, one that everyone could rally behind, that might be the antidote to this meaningless cycle we're caught in. Imagine if we could all direct our energy, creativity and resources towards one existential goal, escaping entropy, transcending our universe's limitations, or at least understanding them so deeply that we open doors we didn't know were there. This would be the ultimate collective goal, and it wouldn't be philosophy or speculation. It would be rooted in science, grounded in our understanding of the physical universe. Shifting from individualism to collective purpose. Now, I know this sounds massive, maybe even overwhelming, but consider this. So much of modern life has become focused on the self. We are told to find our passion, to focus on self-care, to maximize our personal productivity. And while self-care and personal goals aren't inherently bad, they tend to pull us inward. They encourage us to look only at our own little slice of life, our own achievements, our own consumption. But in the end, that way of living is small compared to the potential we have as a collective. Imagine if we started to see ourselves as part of a bigger project, not just consumers, not just as workers, but as contributors to something larger than ourselves, a mission that could alter the course of life as we know it, a mission with scientific depth, with universal stakes, and with the potential to unite every person on this planet. A call to action for humanity. This isn't about abandoning individuality or ignoring personal goals, but rather about reframing them. Imagine what it would look like if each of us thought, how can I contribute to this larger purpose? How can my skills, my work, my resources, no matter how small, be directed towards understanding and potentially overcoming one of the greatest challenges in the universe? If we could inspire even a fraction of humanity to think this way, the impact would be monumental. We could start focusing on research, on technology, on collaboration at an unprecedented scale. Science would take center stage in ways it hasn't before, because it would be a shared journey toward a future that, without this effort, would remain out of reach. We'd be striving not just to preserve our species, but to transcend the very laws that seem to limit life itself. Meaning from the cosmos. To me, this is the only goal that makes sense if we're looking for purpose. We are already here, we are already consuming resources, and we are already capable of generating ideas that could reshape everything. Instead of asking ourselves endless questions about why we work, why we exist, or why any of it matters, we could start focusing on how we can make it matter. Yes, the second law of thermodynamics tells us that entropy is increasing, that the universe will one day reach a state where life as we know it can no longer exist. But perhaps that law is just a challenge. Perhaps it's there not to condemn us, but to push us to find a solution, to rise to the occasion. So here's my message. Let's stop seeing ourselves as isolated beings in a meaningless world. Let's stop falling into the trap of nihilism and individualism, and instead start imagining a future where humanity is united by a purpose so grand, so profound, that it could reshape the very fabric of our universe. Because if we could rally behind that, if we could all contribute to in whatever way we can, that would be true progress, and it would be worth everything. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonates with you, if this idea of a collective commission excites you even a little, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Could humanity rally behind a goal this big? Let's start a conversation.